Fine. I'll just follow up with what you say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rant and Chill. I'm your host, Mr. Deadman. And with us tonight is Jon Goddi. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we spoke before a long time ago, 3 years ago, on a little podcast called Deadman Stone Podcast. 3 years ago, man, I have to pretty much remember, man, what did, that's right, the death dealer. Of course I remember you were the death dealer. Who could forget that? But, I mean, 3 years have passed. So maybe I should ask this question like I would ask like a new guest. Who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? I am Jon Goddi once again. I'm a death dealer. I own Goddi Valentines with my wife. And we collect dead things, anything from humans, animals, to tools, haunted ordeals, hearses, caskets, all the above, anything that's odd and macabre is what we do.
Collect dead things. Now that's an interesting business. I mean, is that on your business card? I mean,
it actually is. It actually is. It's. I wish I had one on me. I'd read it word for word. But we are death dealers. We sell human skulls, anatomy tools, funeral tools, and we actually rent out our hearses to parties, haunted houses, Halloween rides. We used it as an Uber once.
Oh, no shit. A hearses.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. How did you get into this?
Like anybody gets into anything. I grew up in the field. I guess the best example I could give is if you were skateboarding your whole life, you're gonna pick up a skateboard or a rollerblade or whatever. Me, I picked up dead things and just always went with it as part of my life.
So your family was into, I guess, the funeral industry or the industry, the dead industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then our friends and the families kept with families and friends kept with friends. So our sleepovers would be at each other's mortuaries.
At each other's mortuaries. Now, There has to be all sorts of crazy stories. Like wait, I mean, I would imagine you believe in ghosts and spirits and things that go with the night.
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you have any interesting stories and something to say?
Man, honestly, that's a whole new podcast for you. I've actually seen them, talked to them, interacted with them my entire life, and I have some very interesting stories. It actually runs in the family. A lot of what I've come through was to help others, and it's very interesting. There's a word for them they're called seers. There's books out that I've had to read and study.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a whole new podcast for you, my dude.
Hey, no problem. I'll definitely invite you again for that. But as far in this industry of, I guess, business of collecting human remains, I guess it's legal. It's legal. 100%.
It is. It's legal in many states, and we'll just stay in the U.S. There are several states like Louisiana and a few others that it is illegal.
Oh, okay. Now, even if it's legal, if the wrong person were to see the remain, like, have you ever had an issue where someone thought maybe you were holding on to evidence or something?
I've had a few issues. I mean, not none that wasn't, quick to resolve, but there's a lot of people that don't know that having human remains or anything macabre at that part is legal. So you kind of have to school them in what's legal, what's not legal. And then they leave with a peace of mind, but then they're still like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the question.
There's money in it. That's why.
No. There's like how much money? What are we talking about? Do you want to say the number? Like a ballpark?
Well, I guess I could say the most. I mean, I can. Yeah, that's no problem. I have a child's viewing casket with the original receipt with the satins, very good condition. I had it appraised recently. The cool part
with you. What is like? What is the, I guess, the craziest collection you have? Like what is the one that was the hardest to obtain? In the store behind that.
It would have to be Viago, the corpse. We do a lot of estate sale jumping.
Okay.
And you really have to watch what you get. And a lot of stuff today, you don't really have a story on it because they were old medical specimens. This particular ordeal has a story, a timeline, everything. And you got to make sure that the permits and everything are legit to actually owning a corpse. Now, the date is the big thing because it's illegal to move a corpse. That was the hardest part, and it was hard to acquire. Now that I've acquired it, it pretty much has to stay there because it's now illegal to move around.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain. I guess the best way to explain it is today, if you were to be buried on your property, your family sells the property, you want to build the house on top of the person that was buried on the property. You have no knowledge of it. You put your septic tank in, you dig up said person. What do you do? Who do you call? Well, you call a sheriff. The sheriff comes out and he says, well, I don't care what you do. It's not illegal. Put him back on the property. Don't take him off the property. When you take it off the property is when it becomes illegal. So that's the best example I can give.
So if it's illegal to move a corpse off a property, that means like it's hard for you. It'd be really hard to actually get like a full, like, I guess, body remains of anyone, right? Or is that?
It is. Well, especially what I have, it's something that Indiana Jones would say belongs in a museum. It should be in a museum, but I am a moving museum.
Yeah. Are there ways around it?
Like, things, and that's kind of what we. There's absolutely ways around it.
So yeah, like if the corpse isn't buried technically, but like preserved in a box or whatever, and it's kind of like in the back of a hearse, so to speak. Like, could you drive it around then? I mean, a hearse is property. Or does it have to be land?
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's the law, isn't it? Isn't your car supposed to be your property? But
yeah, I wouldn't say go pick up a fresh one. This one's actually medical grade. It's plastinated, so it's tougher than leather.
Now, one thing that was on your mind is one thing you wanted to come on and talk about was scams when it comes to like funeral homes, and this or the funeral industry. This is going to, like, I think, surprise people, and just my limited knowledge of this is that it seems really expensive. It seems like what is the cheapest casket? Like 700? Is there something cheaper, like 500? Like what is the cheapest casket?
From the funeral industry, it starts at 800 and up.
800
depending on what service you're running. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I love my parents and all, but if they die, I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of silly to have like an $800 casket when isn't it just gonna like deteriorate in the ground anyway? I mean, they're buried. I mean, let's okay, but
I mean that you and I see it that way, but it starts there. I mean, now they have, burial vaults that start at 400 and up, depending on what you want: concrete, metal, the actual sealable one. Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes up from there. Casket's just the beginning.
Mm. So when did you I guess kind of realize or became aware that of these sort of scams in the funeral industry?
Well, fortunately, I didn't have to learn this by burying a loved one of mine. I recently took over a cemetery association to help out a local cemetery of mine that was kind of going under. And upon taking it over and taking over the books and helping the family with plots and note-taking, I had to shop around for new grave diggers because we were having some issues with some of ours. And that kind of put my foot in the door on some of the funeral homes in the area on how they price gouge. From, the best story I could give is I got my own exclusive grave digger, and this funeral home had been using somebody for 40 years. And come to find out, it was a pit pocket kind of thing where they would charge the family up to $1,200 for a burial service when the grave digger would only charge $500 to dig the hole. The rest of it went into either the funeral home's business or the said person's pocket. And I learned that the hard way.
Holy hell, dude. That's like repeat those numbers again, in case anyone did not hear that. You're saying the grave digger himself is charging $500. It may charge $500. But
yeah, if they're friends, they've been friends for 40-something years and been in the same business. They've been in each other's pockets. They would charge them $500 to dig a hole and do the service. But charge the family up to $1,200.
$1,200, man. That's.
Oh yeah. And it's worse. It's worse some days. It's worse than that. And that's just the beginning of it. These caskets that they're selling for $800 to $3,000, they get them at wholesale price, $300. If you really look at a casket, it's just stamped metal.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. And then you can get the high-end stuff, but you're going to spend $10,000.
And is that $10,000
it
well
only
spent?
costs a funeral home probably $1,000.
Oh, man.
Yeah, people buy them. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
I know. That seems illegal. Like that. That's you think there's not some sort of like service or anyone that like checks for. I mean, it seems like there would be, but I guess not.
I'm sure people have, but I think people just don't understand, or they don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I feel that they take grief. They take advantage of the grieving. They really do. I think they believe that it's tradition because it's been this way for so long that they don't know that there's other options.
Let's see.
You know? I know religion has a big part of it, but there is other options.
Like vultures. There's like vultures just tearing the family, you know, for trying to get as much money as they can off of them, you know, ripping
absolutely.
Yeah, ripping the flesh off their bones. Just in the process of them trying to bury a loved one, you know? Jesus.
They portray the story so bad. You're like, well, they've died. You've loved them for as long as you were allowed to. They're gone now. Don't you want to preserve their body? No bugs, no nothing, no air, no water can get to them. Well, $20,000 and we can let that happen. It makes me sick.
Man.
You know, and I'm out there with these grave diggers.
Okay, and
I watch them dig these holes. Go ahead.
I have a question too, because I've been to a couple of funerals before, and I always wonder, I'm sure people wondered this too, is like what would stop them from just be like, okay, everyone's gone now, let's go ahead and like dig it back up, and that fancy casket that they use, well, we're just gonna just repurpose that and just throw the remains in some, I don't know, other casket, cheaper one. Maybe
I will tell you. I will tell you, I've heard horror stories. I've never seen it, and I would never allow it on the association's property that I help, that I'm over. I wouldn't let it happen. I would make sure. And that was the whole point. Yeah, that was the whole point of getting rid of some of these old-timer grave diggers and getting a new exclusive grave digger in there to where we kind of have each other, we have each other's back. I want to make sure that it's done. It's a done deal. So, and I've got cameras out there.
That's good.
It is very well secured.
Yeah. Oh, because I always wondered about that. It seems like it would be so easy because, I mean, who's going to check it? You're going to have to dig it back up and check it. What are some other scams, some other big scams that people have to watch out on when they're dealing with funeral homes?
Just they're stories. I mean, don't let them coast you to more money. And I mean, really, the biggest scam out of it all is the burials. Now, embalming has its own pricing, and they gouge that here and there. Really depends on the shape of the body. I haven't had to deal with that personally.
When you say shape, you mean like how large they are?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say if you were wanting to have a viewing and your loved one was involved in a car accident and it would have to take more than an embalming, it gets up there. It's not like a one-time package. It's, hey, we had to reconstruct the face. If we have an open casket, it's going to be this much. I would prefer you do a closed casket.
Is embalming even necessary all the time?
No, absolutely not. And that's another thing. And really solely, this is all educational. I want people to know you do not have to be embalmed. You could be put on ice. You could be put on in the cooler. You do want to be buried shortly. I mean, embalming is designed to pretty much keep you fresh for those that want to come in from all over the world to visit you within 2 weeks. I mean, they can keep you for a long time once you're embalmed. Now, if you pass, within 24 hours, you start to smell, you start to see decay in the fingernails, the eyes shrink and stuff like that. It's not pleasant, but you can have an at-home funeral. You can have a wake. You can have your loved ones come within the 24 hours, say their goodbyes. You do not have to be embalmed. You do not have to be in these $1,000 caskets. You can get a $300 wicker box, and you can be put in the ground. You do not have to be in a vault. I mean, they're Of course, I'm going to have to say this, but there are some cemeteries that do not allow it. You have to be in a vault. You have to be this. You have to be that. But some of these smaller ones, they really don't care. I'm all about going back to the earth. And
going back, I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, going back to the earth, your body's going to decompose, and it's supposed to go back to the earth.
Well, you're supposed to, but there's some of these religions that are out there, they believe that, when they come back, that they're going to come back as who they were. Their bodies will be who they were in heaven as they were on earth. Just saying, that's the belief. That's the.
Oh, yeah, I understand the religion.
People,
and that,
people want to be fresh.
But
there are some vaults. There are caskets out there that will preserve you for. I would say eternity.
I kind of wonder, is the funeral home kind of like perverting like religious views or taking advantage of that to kind of sell this stuff? Because I see this as someone, I mean, I would say I'm a Christian, but I struggle with my faith, but I'm not really too concerned about what they do with my body when I die, because like my soul's gone, my soul's, I guess, in heaven. It's probably in hell. Well, but I'm not too worried about what happens with my body. Just throw it to the wolves. I don't give two shits, but like, I guess some people care.
That's the thing. That's you.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's you. That's how you feel. It's the family that feels different because they're still alive.
Yeah.
And, I'm with you.
Gonna put that in my will.
Absolutely. You
I'll put that in my will.
How you want it.
Don't even bother burying me. Throw me to the wolves. Yep. Find some wolves. Just we're in Texas. Throw me to the wild hogs, wild boars. They will eat through me faster than the wolves will. Okay.
Well, see, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another option. I mean, you could donate your body to science.
No, I don't want Dr. Fauci having my body. No, Dr. Fauci does not get my body. Fuck that. He ain't getting my body.
Okay.
No, but I mean.
Oh man, that's great.
I know, right? Just throw me to the hogs. Yeah. I'll feed that. That way, they could still. They still do that in Texas, but they do the helicopter shoots, right? Where they fly the helicopter around and shoot down the hogs. I mean, that's a huge problem, right?
I've got a friend down here at Temple that does that. That's amazing.
It sounds fun. Sounds fun to do.
I'd be terrified. I'd shoot something and feel bad.
Well, hopefully nothing's running with the herd of wild boars. I don't think you're gonna.
Yeah.
You might hit like a deer maybe by accident. Hopefully no person.
I'd feel bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, but now, as far as other scams goes, so a bombing is possibly a scam. You don't have to do that, and even if you do embalm, here's the thing, too. Like when you have a loved one who dies, the funeral home is gonna like try to upsell you and all this stuff. Like you said before, like, oh, you don't want that casket. You're gonna want the best one. You're going to want, all these things to preserve the body, to make sure nothing gets to it and all that stuff when it's not even necessary. It's like.
That's the big sale. That's what they do. They have it's a sheet that has these packages, and it's just like being a VIP member somewhere. You've got your gray, silver, gold. You want to be platinum. Get your platinum down.
You
don't want bugs. You don't want them to sweat. Yeah. Here's your platinum starting at $20,000. Yeah.
Do they really sell it that way? Do they?
Oh, absolutely.
They sell it like a wedding?
Absolutely, man. They go as far as to bringing out the Mustang horses with a glass. I could be saying it wrong, but it's a horse-drawn hearse.
Oh,
that's
okay.
extra $10,000. Nah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
People do it.
Man, that seems so crazy. Why would somebody do that?
It's a show for the family. That's really what it is. It's really what it is. And I get it. I do. I get it. If you've got the money and you could spend it like that, and you want to have a beautiful farewell to tell people for I don't know however long you live, but that memory dies. You know, it goes. Crazy. It's all crazy. I couldn't do it.
That's insane, though. I still have it in my head where they're like upselling like a freaking wedding there, or like some sort of like a gym membership. Oh yeah. So we started off with the bronze. Here's the gold, the platinum, the diamond. Okay, it's like okay, yeah, this is a scam.
That's right. Yeah, and it's like that with everything. Even if you want to be cremated, it goes from a Folgers cup all the way to mausoleum status stuff.
What?
Still 20 grand.
It's cremation. Crazy. You're just burning the body. You're burning the body. I mean,
that's right.
Oh God.
It's what it is. It's the show. It's the show, and it's the presentation to the family. That's what sells. That's what they're selling.
But damn. They want to take as much money as they can out of that situation. And so I guess the death business is a great business to get into. I mean,
it is.
But the last seemed like Deadman. I should just shift gears and just get into the death business. Honestly, Jesus Christ.
Well, you want to be on my side. You don't want to be on the live side.
You don't want to be.
They really don't make money. They really don't. Embalmers make between $13, $15 an hour. Oh. Removal techs make maybe $12, $15 an hour. Now, if you own the funeral business and you have 4 or 5 funerals and you've got people working there, running the stuff, making you money, that's where the money's at.
No, okay.
But being in the industry, it is not rewarding. You do not make money.
Oh,
now, being where we're at, you make pretty good money. I mean, you can pick up a human skull pretty cheap, and you can sell it, between $1,000 to $5,000 when you get up to the Kilgore skulls, the real nice ones.
Oh, sweet.
And then you can get in,
So your oddity business
is great.
Your oddity business, is that like a full-time thing for you? Like you don't have like a part-time job or anything? Like it is a full-on oddity business?
No, I actually have a full-time job. I probably sleep 4 hours a night. But between my wife and I, we run it every day. We run it through through online, emails, all that good stuff. I mean, it's running 24/7.
Damn.
Yep. I ship boxes every week.
So don't become a wage slave for the funeral home. What you want to do is get into the business of, I guess, getting a hold of and I guess trading body parts or bones.
Yep, bones.
So, someone who's new, who's not done it before, how do I start? Like, how would I begin that? I just start digging?
So, I'll tell you exactly how to get into it. So, oddities is spread out. You can pick a branch or you could do it all. We do both animals and human. So, you could get online. You get on Facebook. There is many oddity sites on Facebook. You just go to the search bar, put in oddities, and pages will come up. Just join them. The best things to look for are to look for people that sell mystery boxes. So you want an oddities mystery box, and it could be from $20 all the way up to $1,000. That's how you want to start your collection.
Okay.
And then when you get your things, if there's some stuff you're not into, you could turn around and sell it. If you're buying an $800 box, you're going to get about $1,000 worth of oddities. And it'll range from anything from human anatomy to tools to whatever, to funeral industry stuff, whatever. You pick what you want to pick, and you continue from there. It's not something you're going to get into and thrive overnight. It's going to take about a year or 2 years to get a good collection, to start trading off to get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is antique caskets, full skeletons, and human skulls. We do a lot of animal recovery, rehab, all kinds of stuff, and I bring in dead animals. I do a lot of taxidermy stuff. I do a lot of bone letting things. We do bone art. All that money I generate after our donations to the rehabs, we save for human remains.
When you say animal rehab, you're saying like you're putting together like the animal, or you actually mean like animal, like a live animal
a live animal. Okay. We do a lot of rehabs out here where wild animals get hit by cars or poached, still living. We'll go trap them, catch them. We'll take them to the rehabs. We rescue them. We rehabilitate them, and then we soft release them back into the wild. Unfortunately, a lot of them do not make it. So, I get those bodies. Of course, the legal ones, the rodents, the fox, the coyotes, the things that you're legally able to sell as well.
So there's certain animals that you can't
Everything
sell.
else.
There's certain animal remains you cannot sell.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right, yes. Yeah, no birds. All the birds are protected by law.
Birds?
Deer's protected by law. Yeah, there's a pretty big list of birds on the Migratory Act that are protected in the state of Texas, pretty much the U.S.
Well, why is that?
So, it's a poacher ordeal. We don't want poachers out there killing our owls or our eagles.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of it has to do with native. We don't, depending on how you want to go about it is how we do it. They're just protected. Really doesn't mean doesn't matter why or how. They're just protected.
I see why they would make it illegal, because if it was legal, then okay. I mean, maybe the act of killing a certain animal, like a rare owl or whatever, may be illegal. But if they killed it and and went through the whole process without being detected and got the remains, they would have to make that thing illegal too, to kind of prevent all that, prevent the poaching and all that.
Exactly. Okay. You can't prove where you got it. Yeah. They don't want you selling their feathers, their talons, their beaks, none of that. So, yeah.
Kind of goes back to the question I asked you earlier about I'm sure when you have, remains of some sort of animal or human in your hearse, I'm sure it brings questions. But you probably navigated that.
I mean, it's
quite a bit.
It's really not that bad. I mean, you do get your occasional, or the new word for them this time around is the Karens and Kyles, but it's a driving museum. People are more intrigued, and it's an educational purpose. They're educated when they bump into me or my wife in our hearses. Like right now, I've got my 1800s casket with Viago in it. And if somebody were to come up to me and see it, like, wow, what is that? I'll pull them out. And it's a history piece, really. As far as to acquiring it, of course you need the proper paperwork, but really it's just a bill of sale. Hey, I bought it from this person.
Yeah. I imagine you'd have to have your documentation, prepared and all that stuff. And you sound professional. You sound like you've been doing this for a while. Of course you have. And so you know what to do. You know what to do with this. As someone who just jumps into the, the industry, I guess be very careful, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to know the right people. You don't want to flaunt your stuff around and stir up a bunch of trouble and have somebody get an investigation on you, like, where did you get all these skulls in this quick amount of time? You're digging up graves.
Yeah, right. Because that would be the question. Are you digging up graves? Is that what's going on here? You're just storing, moving dead bodies. Yeah.
No. Most of the skulls I get, they've got their medical documentation with them. They'll be zip tied to the mandible.
That's good.
The ones that I would sell. Now, my personal ones, of course, they don't have anything. That's why they stay on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, we talk about the animals that you can't, I guess, collect. You talked about the animal rehab. How about, man, it has to be. It has to be hard to manage other cemeteries and like that, because like you mentioned earlier, having to deal with the I guess the shady stuff, how do you I mean, I guess you have to really trust your gravedigger so that he's not going to be, you know, I guess messy.
You're right. I get what you mean. It takes a tough person because it's 24/7 and you're volunteering your time, and to be able to take care of, and I should say, the perpetual care of one's loved one that is out on the property. You're absolutely right. We've had issues with gravediggers while I was helping out. Was the reason why I needed to get a better one, and it took a lot. It took a lot of, how are we doing this? What happens if this happens? How are you going to address it? Well, and then they'll tell me, well, we're coming straight to you. I said, okay, you're not going to go to the funeral home. You're not going to go to the family. No, absolutely not. This will be between me and you. Okay, that's what I need, because the other gravediggers weren't doing that. If they would, you know, if we would flag a space and they would go dig it up and it would be occupied, they're already calling the funeral home and the family, hey, we've got a problem, instead of telling the association. You know, for us to fix it, make it right, you know. But it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of digging, it takes a little bit of guts. But when there's an understanding, and that goes with anybody with any business, but particular talking about the cemetery and the gravedigger, yeah, we are in each other's pocket. I mean, I'm the type where, you know, we had one today, you know, to go ahead and get into it. You know, the phone call starts at, you know, hey, how are you? How's the family? You know, it's a family business. That's kind of how I see it.
That's how it should be. You would think. And you're dealing with families too, you know? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned the stuff that people should look out for, the particular scams. Is there a scam that we haven't dug into yet?
That I haven't dug into.
That we haven't dug into here on this show. Like, we talked about caskets and embalming and.
Okay. Well, I guess another scam that I could help educate would be knowledge. They're going to use that you don't have the knowledge. They're going to use that against you. Like, the first question they're going to ask is going to be the most expensive one. Are we embalming, showing, and burying? Because that's the most expensive one. And then traditionally, that's what you do when you go to a funeral home, because you see the caskets, you see the hearse, you see this. You don't see the other room with the urns. And then, you know, when you got that person in there that says, man, I've done this before. No, we're going to do cremation. Okay, well, going back to the silver, bronze, gold here, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, there's other options. You know,
what's in the bronze? It's in the Folgers cup. Folgers tea.
Hey, it's true. They will put you in a, well, I shouldn't say that because I haven't seen it, but they'll put you in a little box, a little plastic container. Absolutely.
Cremate me and put my ashes in a cigar box. How about that? That'd be great.
Hey, it's going to be a $500 cigar box.
Hey, you know, that sounds about right. It sounds about right. I'll be like, you know, I have so many cigar boxes around. Just tell them that you'll supply the box. Or how about,
this is the one.
Could you do a cremation in the backyard? I mean, you couldn't just burn you couldn't just burn someone's body.
Unfortunately not. There are some states that I have read that has allowed them to do the Viking burial or the Viking boat fire on the lake. Have you seen that?
I've seen the Viking
cremation
burial
in your backyard.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You know, I get to this because it's like, yeah, you could bury your loved one in your backyard, I guess HOA permitting, but hey, it's your backyard, so what if they don't know, they don't know. But
that's right.
And you cremate in your backyard. Yeah, hardcore. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you had enough money and a good attorney, I think you could pretty much do anything, really.
That's good. That's what you need anymore. An attorney to represent you, right? To respect your law,
you
respect your rights.
That's right.
Now,
but people don't know that. That's the whole thing. People don't know. They're not educated. They don't want to think about it, and they think that they have to turn to a funeral director to tell them. And I couldn't be in a funeral home or a director's. I'd straight up tell them, you don't need this. You don't need this. This is gonna, But then you do get those ones that are like, no, I want this. Okay, well, if you want it, that's different. Let's do this.
Man, like you must be making waves, or maybe making some enemies in your industry. You don't have to name names or anything, because there's some that are in there definitely for heavy profit, as much as possible to scam and take advantage. But you sound like you're doing like legit, like you're trying to help people out.
I am, and it's very recent that it had happened, and I can't name names. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but it was really good friends of mine that was family, and they were getting scammed, and thank goodness that it was involved with the cemetery that I'm helping to be over, and I was the one making the phone calls between back and forth with the family and the director, that I noticed the pattern and knew who he was talking about, that I was able to tell my friend, as a friend to friend, not business to association, that he was like, wow. It's like, yeah, so get her out of there, get her to another funeral home that's going to take better care of you and your family. And it was very recent. So, yeah, I'm making it my mission to tell people, or to educate people, not really tell anybody. But
that's good. That's good. They need to be educated there.
Yep.
Let's see. Now, it's getting close to Valentines, and there's something I saw on one of your posts that apparently what we know about Valentines is may not actually be accurate. Do you do Valentine's Day? You got something going on for Valentines?
Oh, my wife's going to kill me. Well, my wife already knows that every day is a new day. It's just a day, is what I say. However, we do traditional things because we have kids, but my wife knows that I love her, and I love her unconditionally, and that's all really what it's about, because we're always giving and providing for each other every day of the 10 plus years we've been together.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a tradition, the Cupid part of it, where, the cards, the chocolates, the roses. No, my wife is so cool. She's cool with the old 3-week-old dying roses over the live fresh roses. So I just buy them for $1 and like, here you go, baby.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna die anyway.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
You might as well just enjoy them as they're dying.
That's right. So yeah, I guess I could say I'm really not into today's traditional Valentines. I mean, there's a whole history to Valentines that people do not even know.
Yeah, I was
old history.
I was told that it was like Saint Valentine's, a saint doing something with what's that I guess what's the Catholic Church version? What's the Christian version of events? I don't even remember. Saint Valentine.
Well, the one that you're talking about, Valentine, was I think he was a priest or a father Valentine.
Yeah.
And what that was is that goes back to Emperor Claudius and his story of keeping his army from being married or love-stricken, to keep his army big and bold and just So, he made it into law to where they couldn't get married or fall in love or anything. So that's where Father Valentine comes in. He was a priest, and he went against the emperor's wishes and married people behind his back and above the law. And, of course, the emperor caught on and sentenced him to death. And the story goes on. He's in jail, and he's got this woman coming in, giving him flowers and, candies and stuff, for his stay, because he's a priest. He's Father Valentine. So the story is his last love letter to the prison, because it was the prisoner's guard's daughter that he fell in love with, that she was the one coming in and out.
Gotcha.
And So the day that he got executed was actually February 14th. And the letter that he gave to the daughter of this guard said, "You're Valentine." So it just pretty much stuck. Proof Valentine's Day.
But that may not actually be the real origin, from my understanding.
No, that's just what we were given. Exactly. Yeah. But see, I'm way ahead of that, man. I'm into the pagan. Well, I wouldn't say I'm into it.
Tell me about that. What's going on with that?
I'm more drawn into the pagan. Okay, so to the best of my ability. So, oh man, this was like, I want to say 1200 AD. This is a long time ago, maybe give or take 100 years. So the Roman times, this is when Christianity was trying to take over the Romans to bring them back, to bring them into Christianity. So they would do these festivals. I think it was called like Lupercalia. And back in the day, they believed in these she-wolves or these gods of fertility. This one particular god of fertility called Faunus, I believe. That's the big goat man, the half-goat guy. And so these festivals started off, they would sacrifice an animal, either a goat or a dog, and they would go around slapping women with the bloody skin to bestow fertility. And, fertility. So, and they would have this big urn or bowl, and women would, single women would put their names in them, and bachelor men would draw their names, and for that whole year, they would be united. They would be with this person, and it usually ended up in marriage.
Okay.
So this big party that they had, this pretty much big orgy ordeal, slapping each other with dead animals.
Wait, slapping each other with...
This was their way of bringing the Romans into Christianity. And this happened on February 14th. Hello.
Holy shit. So the pagan tradition involved, it involved an orgy and slapping people with dead animals?
Pretty much. That's pretty much the best way I could have put it.
And like with a lot of these holidays we celebrate here in the West, it's like, okay, well, we're celebrating through I guess a Christian lens, whatever, but it's distorted really, because the real origins, like pagan roots and all this stuff, and you kind of like, whoa, what's going on there? So really, the old school tradition of Valentine's isn't giving out cards and candy and hearts or anything. It's draw names of who you're going to be in a relationship with, or also getting dead animals and beating each other with dead animals and having an orgy. Great. Amazing. Good stuff.
Yeah. I would have to say that the time that we live in, this is where Cupid came in. And it was also used by Christians. This is the winged man of love, and he strikes you and you fall in love, and and then of course Cupid became the industry. It became the business, the cards, the cakes, the chocolates, the flowers. I mean, millions and millions of dollars, millions of flowers in one day. So that's what we like. I mean, I don't think I could go back to the Lupercalia days, because slapping people with dead animal skin is just a little too much for me.
Right. As someone who collects bones, that says a lot. That says a lot. Yeah, but anymore, I mean, the holidays are just pretty much just commercial with a lot of things. It's like just make money, mass money. And this, of course, is like chocolates, flowers, cards, all that stuff. Everything related.
Yep.
Fancy steaks, fancy dinners. Just everything.
That's right.
That's interesting though. The pagan origin of it all. Oh man. So yeah, someone in the
it's a lot to take in.
It is. And to recap here, we kind of went through. You talked about and who you are and what you do, and you kind of talked about the scams related to the funeral industry, which there are a lot of, and people have to be worried about. Which what I forgot to ask you about is, I heard about this thing of like people prepaying, like they'll pay for, like, I guess a lot, or pay for services in advance before they even die? Is that even a good idea?
I mean, to bear the debt of your family, it is. If that's something, if you pre-plan it and you have it paid off by the time of your death, absolutely. A lot of people have to wait till they die to get their life insurance funds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people die and they don't have insurance, so they turn to GoFundMe or, PayPal help, whatever. We do have cemeteries out here that do have prepaid plots. It's like $25 a month. And it's for so many months up to this amount. But, man, I'm telling you, plots out here are going for $1,250 to $1,900 a space, one space. Yes,
a space.
And then that's not talking about a space in the mausoleum. That's $8,000. So people will be paying for a while. I mean, they're paying on it for a while.
Yeah.
But people do it, and they do it because they don't want to put the burden on their family.
Right. But now, other situations where people will do that, they prepay, but it turns out the person that they were giving the money to was conning them, or something happened and it just didn't go the way it was intended.
I'm sure it happens. It's not that I know of personally, but I'm sure it happens. Anybody will try to scam anybody off of anything. Let's say the grandmother had been paying on it for 20 years. Mm-hmm. She had 2 more months on it. They could add 5 years on it. I mean, you could give any scenario. Anything can go sour. Or you could get those people and say, hey, she only owed 2 months. We'll take care of it. But you have to buy this $5,000 casket.
Right.
There's always a way.
Oh, God. They're going to try to get you in any way they can.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah, just... and for those listening, just be careful of those scams. Just be careful of that stuff as well. Let's see.
Do your homework. Do your research.
Oh,
there's other options.
We're talking a little bit about for those interested in bone collecting or getting into that industry. Oh, I forgot to ask you this. I was going to ask you earlier. I mentioned, like, how does one begin? How does one start? You mentioned mystery boxes. But I'm over here wondering, like, where do you even go? Like, are you going on eBay for this? You're not going to Amazon and buying human remains or, right?
So, honestly, yes, you can. There's people on eBay. There's people. Now, I wouldn't say Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon's more of like, now they've got oddities. Now they're not going to have human remains. Oh. But so like any dealer, they know their laws, and like any dealer selling to anybody, they tell them, hey, I can't sell to you because you live in Tennessee. I can't sell to you because you live in Louisiana. And then it's up to the buyer to know that if you're buying this, you can get in trouble if you're buying it, having it sent to your state, that you're not allowed to have human remains. But yeah, eBay, Etsy, Facebook, just go to the search bar.
Facebook Marketplace.
And put in oddities.
All right,
yeah, really. I mean, you can go to, what do we have? We've got, these local markets too. What do you call them? Flea markets? Y'all got flea markets, right?
Flea markets, yeah.
Believe it or not, there's people out there selling oddities. Believe it or not, I have bought a human skull from a flea market in San Antonio, Texas. Absolutely.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore. Yeah. Which, it's like, okay, when you bought that skull, are you allowed to ask how they got that skull, or is it just you don't ask questions?
I'm going to tell you the truth. You can ask anybody anything, and they'll give you a story, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
But 95% of the time, and I say 95, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to tell you why. 95% of the time, the skulls that you're going to get these days, you're not going to know the story because it's an old medical skull.
Yeah.
All you're going to know is it's a medical specimen, and that's why you're able to own it. the 5%, you can possibly get a story if you go to an estate sale of a family member that was a doctor of a doctor of a doctor of a doctor that went back generations and had this skull that would have a story that was passed down with it.
Okay.
And I have one bisected partial skull that came with documents of a woman named Esther that died in an insane asylum in the 1800s.
Okay.
At age 38. So I have had a skull that had a story. Now, is it true? I believe it's true because when I bought it, it came with all of its documents. Now, is that her skull? It could be. It may not be.
Right.
But I've since sold it to a friend of mine, and he has it in his shop. It's one of the best ones with a story that I've owned.
You know, I'm kind of curious how, like, is there a, if it's illegal to move a corpse from the ground, or I guess it's illegal to move a corpse from a body, or not a body, from property. Is there going to be like, is it, does that make it where it's harder to actually get these parts?
So, like I said, the parts that we're getting are
they're
hundreds of years old.
Okay. So
yes, they're medical. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure someone in the Netherlands is selling grave robbery remains, and I wouldn't put it past a lot of people that do this and sell them from the Netherlands, but they do go through customs, and you're going to sit a while. Yes, I've bought a few, and I've been kind of questioning it, but anything that I really get my hands on from the U.S., it's all medical specimens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really what you see and what you believe. If you think someone robbed it, you don't want it.
Yeah. But this is interesting though, because people are looking for different ways to kind of, I guess, different things to kind of invest in and collect, and for resale value, or to kind of, I guess, put their money in. And I guess oddities, there is some value there. It sounds like there's actually a lot of value there, and it could be something that people could get into if.
It's a huge market. Believe it or not, the oddities field is massive. I'm talking millions of people are into oddities.
Damn.
I'm serious.
And you don't have to worry about Facebook, the price fluctuating like that of like Bitcoin or something, or some sort of cryptocurrency, right? I mean, like you have it, you could sell it.
Absolutely no. Yeah, absolutely not. It's pretty much got a basic price list. Any bisected partial can go from, believe it or not, 200 to 500. Any partial can go from 500 to 8. Any full but cut, meaning the cranium cut because it went through an autopsy, with a jaw, without a jaw, from 900 to 1500, or even 1950. And then you can get these really beautiful Kilgore skulls that are just immaculate. I mean, designed for the anatomy medical field for up to $3,000 to $8,000.
Damn.
I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful market, and it fluctuates. If you get a hold of somebody that has hundreds of skulls to sell and is well set off and just wants to trade with something oddball, I mean, you can get a $3,000 skull for a simple $800 trade. And that's kind of how I've moved up with a lot of trading. And I get skulls that are worth a lot more.
That sounds pretty good
to get into. Yeah. It takes a little bit. It takes a little bit to get there. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years now. And I would like to say about 3 years ago is when I hit our peak with the collection. And it takes a little bit to get there.
When you start doing this, since we're getting into it, what are some of the best ways to preserve it and you can't just let it sit in your garage, right?
No, absolutely not. You want to, I mean, if you got something like this, you really want to display it. So you could put it in a display case. Like I've got entertainment system. It's got glass with glass shelves with lights, and I've got them displayed pretty nicely. And I go in there and dust them, and dust does settle. It's not that they're fragile. I mean, you can get some that are fragile, but majority of it is pretty hard. I mean, you can move them, do what you need to do, then put them back without being afraid that you're going to break something.
Okay. I'm just curious about that. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, Jon Goddi, this has been a pretty informative conversation. I'm talking about funeral scams and death dealing, bone collecting, and even Valentines.
Yeah, we squeeze Valentines in there.
Yeah, right. Man, if there's any time where there's something on your chest and you want to like rant about it or come on this podcast again and talk about it, definitely consider. I definitely would definitely consider bringing you back on. It's good talking to you. I
appreciate that.
It's been 3 years since we talked before, and way too long. I think that's not good. That's not good. No.
Well, I've got storytelling, so that's definitely a podcast for you. You just check with your books, and I'll check with mine, and we'll make it happen.
All right. Anything you want to plug or shout out before we wrap this up?
Well, absolutely, man. Well, thank you for the time and the platform. I hope it reaches the right ears about the funeral industry. Definitely want to shout out to my beautiful wife, who I left at home. Of course, she would like to be a part of this. She's a big part of my business, helps out in the between time. I've got 2 friends that own a business here in Waco, Texas called Skeleton Curiosities. They have pushed a lot of our stuff. So huge shout out to them. We wouldn't have made it through COVID without them, and they're keeping their store open. Damn. So that's a big deal. So, yeah, those are my shout outs.
All right. Well, Jon Goddi, I was going to say Goody again. Jon Goddi, thank you so much for coming on Rant and Chill. Everyone listening, y'all take it easy. You have a good one. And, yeah. All right.
And you guys have a good night. Thank you. Absolutely. It has been a while. No, you're good. I'm glad it worked out. It was good. It was a good flow. It really was. Yeah. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, I check in here and there. I really don't talk much. I just